It's the Happy Families podcast. It's the podcast for the time-poor parent who just wants answers now.
I guess a tip for mums in particular is not necessarily believing your children when they say they know exactly where it all is the night before.
Yeah, we've actually learned that there's two very important words to say right then, and that is show me.
And now here's the stars of our show, my mum and dad.
G'day everyone, this is Dr. Justin Coulson. I'm here with Kylie, my wife and mum to our 6 kids. I'm the author of 6 and we're growing a new one. They're almost 7 books. I'm almost halfway through my...
I thought we were growing a new baby. I was getting scared for a second there.
The way I said that, it could have been a little bit confusing. I appreciate you making me...
Well, 6 and 6, okay.
Clarify.
All right.
So we're the parents of 6 kids and I'm the author of 6 books and I'm growing a new book.
Oh.
You're not...
Normally you don't grow a book. Normally you write a book.
Well, I'm developing a book. I'm writing a book.
Your wording was scaring me.
Yeah, well, I was trying to be funny and I realised that maybe I was a little too... you're not. You're not.
I'm not.
You're not. Okay, great. Well, we're not growing anything other than a new book and daily podcasts. Kylie, today I thought with school going back, we should probably have a conversation about something that that a lot of parents start to worry about when it's time to get the routine going.
After a long break, especially over the Christmas break, there's been no routine. Everybody slept in till when they want to sleep in, and there's really no bedtime. We just go
only
to bed.
If you've got big kids, right? If you've got little kids, they're still up crack of dawn. But our kids, now that they're starting to get bigger, they're like, they don't want to get out of bed till 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. It's like, there's a life to live out here, kids. Come on.
But over the years, the biggest challenge we have after you've had that break is getting back into the school routine, getting those mornings working so that everything else runs smoothly.
And we've found as our children have gotten older, mornings kind of take care of themselves. The kids know what time they've got to get up. We might give them a little bit of a shake, a bit of a reminder, but they know how to get themselves going. From about the age of, I would say, 10 or 11, they're making their own lunches, they're making their own breakfasts, they're getting dressed, they're doing all the basic stuff they need to do in the morning. But prior to the age of 10, it's kind of hard work.
Well, it's very hands-on for parents. And I'm saying parents as in if both of you can be involved.
It makes it easier, doesn't it?
It does make it easier, but it's still full on.
Yeah.
Especially the more children you have in that younger age bracket.
Yep. So we, over the years, have worked very, very hard with our younger kids so that by the time they're 10, we don't have to work very hard with them at all. We really believe in the idea of pre-arming your kids or developing them so that they can figure things out for themselves as they get older. And we've come up with a formula for parents of kids at any age, but particularly in the under 10 age range, to make your morning magic.
So let's talk about it.
So for those who are not familiar with what's in 21 Days to a Happier Family and the bucket metaphor, basically your relationship is a bucket and our job is to fill our children's buckets with connection. And metaphorically, that's the water that goes into a bucket. Like you don't want a bucket full of air, you want a bucket full of water. That's what buckets are for carrying water. So the water is represented by connection. And the air, well, that's correction and direction. And so the question pretty much is this morning, how much time did you spend connecting and correcting versus connecting? And I think as we sort of, we'll talk about the morning routines and stuff in a sec. I think that if we can get good quality connection into our mornings, which is, let's face it, missing from most people's mornings most of the time because there's so much to do and so little time to get it done. We spend all of our mornings correcting and directing, and we wonder why our relationships are lousy in the mornings.
Well, we find our children kind of, get sidetracked along the way, don't they? They start really well, but they get a bit sidetracked and we're constantly having to redirect them back to what they need to do.
So that's where that metaphor comes from. And I reckon that if we keep that in mind as we talk about what we're going to talk about today in terms of making our mornings magical, that is probably going to be one of the most important things that we can do.
When you think about all of the things that you're doing in the morning, you're thinking about everything that needs to be done and the need to hurry because there's, you've got to get them out the door and get them to school, and then you've either got to go off to work or come home and, do all of the enormous list of ongoing chores that just never seem to be able to get through.
See how I let you just cut me off and keep going?
You did.
I'm deferring. Did you like that? All right, so let's talk about how to make our mornings magic next.
It's the Happy Families podcast.
For a happier family, try a Happy Families membership because a happy family doesn't just happen. Details at happyfamilies.com.au.
It's the Happy Families podcast. I'm Dr. Justin Coulson here with Mrs. Happy Families, Kylie Coulson, my wife and mum to our 6 kids. And we're talking about how to make mornings magic. And I think it's fair to say that we've had our fair share of pretty average mornings, which is why we're pretty passionate about getting mornings right. What do you reckon are the integral essentials of making mornings magic?
Well, you talk specifically about 4 different things that we can do in helping to create those magic moments each morning with our kids. So the first one was really recognizing and understanding that our morning actually starts the night before. Do you want to unpack that for us a little bit?
Yeah, so we know that if we can get everything organised the night before, the next day just runs so much more smoothly. So that means when you go to bed, the kitchen's actually tidy and the house is in reasonable shape. But more than that, it's specifically the morning stuff. Like, do you know where the kids' shoes are?
Or a school bag, or a hat,
or their lunchbox,
or their reading,
their library books. So it's making sure that the bag is pretty well packed. The uniform is laid out. The shoes and the socks and the sports uniform, everything that they need is ready to go. If you remember to do that the night before, it just means that you don't have that pressure of, what do you mean you can't find your shoes? You were wearing them yesterday in the car on the way home. You don't have to deal with that stuff.
And I guess a tip for mums in particular, or dads, but for me, is not necessarily believing your children when they say they know exactly where it all is the night before.
Yeah, we've actually learned that there's 2 very important words to say right then, and that is show me. I want to see them.
So definitely has had such a significant impact on making our mornings move forward in positive ways when we have done that preparation the night before.
Yeah. Now, if you want to go over the top, we've done this. We haven't done it for a while, but we both know that it works supremely well. We actually put together a breakfast menu and a lunch list. And before the kids go to bed, we get the kids to circle on the laminated breakfast menu what they want for breakfast the next day, and they choose what they want for lunch the next day. Because, sometimes they walk out into the kitchen and they're bleary-eyed and they're tired and they can't decide what they want. They just open the fridge and stare at it for 4 minutes.
Well, the TV it's not a TV, but they think it is.
The fridge is so entertaining. They're just, what's in the fridge? And so what we found is that when the kids are making decisions the night before for what they'll have for breakfast and lunch, they just come out into the kitchen and get on with it. And we've spent time helping them to learn how to make this stuff, how to prepare their own lunches, how to prepare their own breakfasts. And they can do most of it pretty well without our assistance. But the great thing is now that the decisions are made, even if they do need help, it's so easy for us to step in. So that's kind of going over the top for some parents, but for us, we found that it's tremendously helpful.
Definitely. And I think in the early stages, there was a lot of involvement needed from me. But as our children have, I guess, gone through that process, and like you said, we've trained and taught them how to do it, they are very much independent in relation to that. So I guess one of the other things that we've talked about in those 4 different steps is waking our children up just a few minutes earlier than they need to be awake, and doing it in such a way that it's not such an abrupt, rude, intrusion to this beautiful night's sleep that they've had.
Yeah, so most of the time when we wake the kids up in the morning, it sounds like this. Would you just wake up? This is the 5th time I've told you. You're 10 minutes late already. It's going to be horrible. And nobody likes those kinds of wake-ups.
Yeah, I don't think I ever had that. It was just they turn the light on.
Oh, right, yeah.
Or open the blinds. Turn the light on.
The light comes.
It's time to get up.
Yeah. That sort of stuff just doesn't work well. And so if you want to have a magic morning with connection rather than correction and direction, I reckon go and sit on their bed 10 minutes early, give them a squeeze, give them a hug, let them know that you love them and say, are you all set for the day? What can I do to help?
And so then your last one, Justin, you talk about the need to not tell our children what to do, but ask them what to do. How does that actually work?
So much of our mornings are, would you hurry up? Why haven't you done this? Go and get this for me. Go and pack that away. Like we're constantly telling our kids what to do. We're correcting and directing. But when we connect, a great way to engage with the kids when they're not moving is to connect by asking questions. You might say, hey, what's next on your list? Or is there anything you need help with? I noticed that you're standing there looking a little bit lost. And when you reach out and offer to help, or when you say, what's next on your list, those kinds of responses are much less likely to be perceived as correcting and directing, and much more likely to be felt like, we're connecting with them, we're seeing them, we're valuing them, we're offering to help them. And that's good for building the relationship, and it's good for making mornings magic, and it's good for getting you out the door on time.
And There was lots of ands there. So I'm going to add my own one little tip, and I think that it has a huge impact in my morning, is just using those gentle reminders. So when the kids have actually finished or perceived to have finished their, morning routine and they're ready to go to school and they're already just to kind of, chill out and wait for the school bus to come along, that being me, sometimes I'll recognise and see that they haven't actually done a few of the things that they needed to do, chore-wise or, helping out around the house. And so just a gentle reminder, hey, Annie, the laundry is enough for her to kind of kick into gear and go, oh, yeah, I've got 5 minutes. I can go and do, put a load on.
I love listening to you. I reckon we should do this podcast more often.
Well, I really enjoy speaking with you.
We really hope that this has been a helpful episode as you try to make your mornings magic and get set for a brand new school year. Queensland's supposed to be back at school already, but that's not quite happening yet. We wait with bated breath here in the Sunshine State to find out how much longer the school holidays are going to be extended for. And for the rest of the country, pretty much almost everyone's back next week, all things going well. Fingers crossed. The Happy Families podcast is produced by Justin Rulon from Bridge Media. Craig Bruce is our executive producer. If you'd like more info about making your family happier, please visit us at happyfamilies.com.au.